It in the class, and I'm live too as far as the virtual portion of it. I'm here mostly to talk about effective lesson planning. I'm going to try to devise this in a scaffolded fashion, so it'll be parts 1, 2, and 3. Today we're going to start off with the basic portions of it. I'm also going to correlate where the objective and the warm-ups kind of fit into a 5E lesson plan, and how I'm creating a lesson plan as I'm going through and doing these PDs also on lesson planning. So I'm going to give you an exemplar lesson plan, and I'm also going to give you this whole PowerPoint to share with your staff members, and that way we all have a common understanding as far as what should a lesson plan look like, number 1. So I'm devising it, I'm going to push it out to you after the presentation. Number 2, I'm also going to make sure to go over effective lesson planning techniques, how to make proper objective, and the differences between objectives and goals. And I'm also going to give you a small takeaway as far as technology piece. Alright, so the warm-up quiz. Right now, these are the people that are populated in the class. There's 5 quick questions that are in there as far as you can kind of navigate through. So very quickly, if we could, just answer these 5 questions. It shouldn't take no longer than maybe 2 minutes at most as far as the warm-up. They're all yes or no answers, but it gives me very quick data. And the reason I'm putting this here is because come the next PD, I'm using this data to develop a future lesson. So I'm creating a warm-up on current understandings, and I'm using this to actually create a future presentation. So I'm trying to gather this data now, almost like a formative assessment way, and then in the future I can change or modify a future PD, that way I don't cover something that doesn't need to be covered, or I go more in depth on it as well in the future.
So we got to hit go to take the quiz?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
So as you can see, everything is populating right here. And what's great about this too is I can get very quick data, valid data, verifying data, and it populates it all right there. You can always keep this too for future usage. Just take screenshots of it and push it out afterwards into documents. And let's wait until everything finishes up. And there's a question on there that also says, or there's a comment, if you didn't have your DTA or 5E lesson plan pulled up via the PGCPS website, in the meantime, during the warm time, between 4 to 7 minutes for this, please pull that up, the DTA or 5E template. So you're going to go to pgcps.com and then type in 5E lesson plan template, or type in DTA lesson plan template. That was also, I pushed out an email earlier today detailing if you please pull it up prior to coming here too.
.com or .org?
You
said PGCP.
That over here. The former counties.com. Still catching up. Alright, so as I see this up here, every single person has answered all the questions, and it also says as far as right or wrong answers, but really it's a quick formative data that I'm going to kind of use afterwards too, and it's going to populate and show current understandings. And now what I'm going to do is, excellent. It says objective. So when I generate this objective, just open-ended question, how did I come up with this objective, by the way? Anybody try to answer that question?
How'd you come with the objective for today's class?
Yes.
Well, you knew what we wanted to know. You know what you wanted to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And
Based on the topic. Is this measurable?
No. Is it?
Well, effectively,
Yes, because it positively affects the achievement.
yeah, with proper lesson planning, if you take a lot of variables into consideration, and what happens is when you effectively plan, for instance, I'll give an example. Mr. Sims had a question, how would this increase in achievement? When we go through and we create a lesson plan, like even today I was talking to Dr. Hackney that my lesson, I just changed it before you got in here because I saw different needs based off of what I noticed in the 2 PDs that were offered earlier today, some with the science, some with the English. So I noticed there was some discrepancies in there I didn't understand, so I populated stuff in here. I made that differentiation piece, I added more into there. When you add more into your lesson plan, and then you change it afterwards on your deliverance, ultimately, it'll give the students, one classroom for instance, more knowledge towards given topics, so you can reach overall objective. Because your kids are reaching those overall objectives every single class and hitting all those standards, then they should be performing better on the tests, theoretically. Theoretically, if everything goes into play, then it will positively affect that student achievement. So hopefully by proper lesson planning, making changes, differentiation, adding pieces in, they'll reach the objectives more readily, and in turn, raise standardized test scores, or understandings of content, meaning different rubrics. Alright, this was the warm-up. We already kind of went over this too. And I'm going to kind of skip this one right here. It says, how did the Oxon Hill High School admin team formulate a lesson plan and presentation for the Oxon Hill staff? Open-ended. Mr. Calloway. Last question.
Oh,
How do you think?
I think you guys collaborate.
Yeah. Collaborated?
Mm-hmm.
They looked at plans that they had been submitted,
Mhm.
see the strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
and made changes.
Made a lot of changes. Who else can you engage besides talking to teachers and admin members? Students. OTD, Office of Talent Development. I talked to a couple different people at central office and asked them what presentations should you give to us so that we can further this information as far as how to effectively lesson plan. So I reached out to OTD, OEP, and different people in different resources, different people or resources to basically make the presentation a little bit stronger and come up with an objective that is measurable and that's based around the whole presentation itself. Now what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to pull up the lesson plan. Right here. And right now I'm working with a 5E. And I'm going to give this to everybody too, so please bear with me if you can't see exactly where I am as far as on the screen, but it is screencasted. I am going to make sure to pass it out to everybody too as far as the screencast link. But in the engagement areas, in the world sections, everything in between too. As far as my objective, I'm going to place it on top of my lesson plan. In this area, as long as we see the objective, as long as we know where it is, we know the direction, that should be one of the very first things you see on a lesson plan very quickly. Because you always want that objective and kind of work from there. Well, this is the major focus of my presentation, but the engagement piece of the purpose of this warm-up is to gauge if the teachers have an understanding of how to access documents and which FFT-approved lesson plans to choose from for given by PVCTS. I just know, for instance, my content. So I know that TechEd, for instance, is supposed to use 5E. I believe PLW is DTA, right? And DTA for the CTE courses specifically are DTA. I know that most are using 5E, though, outside of that direct CTE areas. So if you can scroll down, Chef, a little bit too, please. Thank you.
Down.
You'll see standards over here. Oh, sorry, I checked it right here, actually. Standards over here as far as what are correlating. So we have certain standard leadership standards. I put that into my lesson readiness area over here, and I listed it in there for my planning notes because I want to make sure that I'm reaching these standards and I'm increasing that teacher capacity. And what I did was, when I scrolled down a little bit more to this fourth page, I wrote the warm-up. This is working individually. It says here, there's the questions, and scroll down a little bit. I hosted a small discussion, and then I posed some different correct answers underneath here, and a little more. And then I gave plausible answers or solutions for choices for teachers for significance. So I'm trying to pre-plan these answers. I'm trying to pre-plan these questions that may be actually given to me. A lot of questions have been given to us in prior PDs, which is why we formulated this. So I populated and put in, on the screen right here, possible answer choices. And I also try to include possible questions sometimes along the way too. So my questions were generated based off of needs assessments and talking to individuals on where are we going with lesson planning in the first place. So that's what I put in my engagement. Possible answer choices. What would the students ask me for this formal? What would they ask me for this? What would they ask me for that? And what choices are we thinking the kids are going to say? Because you're pre-planning ahead of that time. I just wanted to quickly show, and I'm also going to pass it out to people too as we kind of generate this lesson plan exemplar over the course of time. And I just want to show as far as the detailing that I used to do with I do this over the summers. I do developments over the summers too, and I teach over the summers and on weekends sometimes. And I get to create and go over these questions and actually go and knock them out all the time. Possible answers, possible questions. so on and so forth. Back to the presentation. All right. Okay. Next slide. I just showed that. And next slide. Okay. This is activity 1. So we're gonna kind of get out of our seats a little bit, and we'll have this. Since we have 3, 4, 6, 8 people here right now, we'll just get in 4 groups of 2. We're getting 4 groups of 2. Kind of going through a think, pair, share a little bit. Obviously, we're in pairs. There's only 8 of us. Groups will be based in 3 to 4 based on participant capacity, and we'll be given 3 different outcomes on sticky notes. So prior to walking in, I asked if you pick up like one of those sheets over there. Those are randomized for objectives. I put the standards in there, and I didn't really specify what was what. What I want you to do though is I have some tape up here. Getting in pairs. I want you to kind of get in pairs very quickly. This is working with one person, and each of you has one of those sheets. I just want you to kind of look at that, collaborate with your partner, and put them in the 4 areas: ineffective, basic, proficient, or distinguished.
Understand
Well,
if you go further,
I mean,
he kind of gives some.
I think that was hard.
First research
If not, I'm gonna sit in anyway, so I'll give you the.
Oh, you want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
Because she needs to put me on. Can you have it?
One thing I'm trying to do now, I have too many.
And I was
Too many
forward
things
to
in
you,
one
and I was
object.
like,
Right?
it's an easy-
This
I
is
do all because they math.
understand and comprehend.
Matter of fact, it's so you know I have to sit in.
That's what I'm trying to do. Mine next week. I'm changing mine up as I do it now.
She usually send me an email when y'all don't do it.
No,
I'm right up with it.
You
Right
right
now.
now, but you can't.
Oh, you said supervisor?
I'm using
Oh,
this. Trust.
I think this is basic.
She said, I said to her, I said, well, this is
Which one?
No, I'm good.
Because Nancy Bridget usually email me when this is a function, I said it's
Students
students.
understand that
Yes.
comprehensive technology advancement will
Email it right now.
students will.
I know you know the answer.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, things are changing.
Yeah.
Remember, the biggest thing with any kind of objective or a goal is it truly measurable? How will it, what's the measure point? It can be measured somehow.
Oh, the same.
Because you can't, think you can't measure it? Why can't you?
Well, we'll discuss it in a second. Why can't? How can?
Hands-on? What, their presentations and stuff? How well they articulate what they learn?
I think I was more the wording of the objective more so than the. No one for you.
Oh, and I got two on my hands, see?
You got to say this.
I don't know if I want to say that this is the
Also, as I'm finishing up too, I guess I want to talk one misconception, is that objectives, when we're saying we want students to learn, we more so want you to start to think about the content of what you want your students to learn, opposed to what they will do. You don't necessarily have to put that in your objectives. So when we see students will learn to students, you don't need to necessarily put that on there. Or you don't even have to put on there, students will be able to do something. So when we crafted this one on as far as objective very quickly to kind of develop for the PDs, it's not necessarily what we want us or the teachers or others to learn. It's really how is it going to be measured based on all the SMART parts of the SMART goal. So we're going to get to that on the next about 8 slides or so. We can kind of discuss that in further detail.
I'm gonna hold mine. So I can-
We'll just do part 1, part 2.